Hiya friends, welcome to this hand rant. Yes, okay. We are discussing the proposed Bylaw 4710 and how that would affect our beautiful Cowichan Valley if approved. Right now I'm going to discuss with you farm status, what it is, how you get it, what you have to do to keep it, and how that's going to affect backyard farmers and hobby farmers. So, farm status in the Cowichan Valley and anywhere in BC is a farm classification through BC assessment under a set amount of rules by the Minister of Ag and Food. If approved, your property receives tax reductions, and that can be quite significant, like thousands of dollars a year. But the bar to get farm status is very, very specific and doesn't really fit the small backyard farmers and hobby farmers, which I'll get into a little bit later. So it is a property tax classification that says this land is being actively farmed for profit, but we got to remember that the CVRD can come in, they can swoop in, and they can say, but this is how you can do it. So the core requirements for farm status is you must show gross farm income before expenses of $2,500 a year if your farm is under 2 acres. So typically, these are like the typical numbers that are out there right now. So between 2 to 10 acres, it's $2,500 a year. Between 10 to 25 acres, it's $5,000 a year. 25 acres and up, it's $10,000 a year. So this income must come from selling agricultural products, and they have specifically not hobby use. So we must be able to show crops, livestock, agricultural products, managed and maintained land, and clear intent to sell products that you have grown and reared on your farm. If production drops, you can lose status just like that because this is done every single year. You must be able to show sales receipts and records, invoices, proof of production, and then you move into the actual application portion, where BC assessment can sometimes come onto your site and deem it fit or unfit to be able to qualify for farm status. And then this is where things get very interesting for the small scale or the startup farms. Farms take a long time sometimes to build, and that first 2 to 5 years, it might not be profitable, and most of the time it's not. And BC assessment requires immediate proof of income. So even that first $2,500, it might not seem like a lot, but it's really hard to obtain that for the first year. Upfront investment is really difficult to manage. You need to spend a bunch of money on inputs for your land and for your farm in order to make the money, and there's absolutely no grace period with BC assessment. Again, you have to show proof right then and there in order to qualify. So where this gets even more interesting for the backyard farmers and hobby farmers, and where we are at risk, is if BC assessment thinks that we aren't selling enough, or it looks like it's more of a personal use, which they most likely would, then they could and unfortunately do deny classification. And you don't have the opportunity to sell your goods at your farm stand, which helps you feed your family and bring nutritious, beautiful food to your community. So it's really, really obvious at this point that the system favors large operations and established farms and people that are already in markets over the little guys that are just trying to get started, which makes my heart so sad. In places like the Cowichan Valley and a lot of Canada, I would imagine, land is expensive. It is expensive. Food security is a growing concern. We are all worried and thinking about our food. That's why we want to be farmers. That's why we want to grow stuff in our backyard, is because we want to be able to feed ourselves, and we're all worried about that. And lots of people just want to be small. We don't want to have broad acreage cornfields that feed the cows of the milk that we drink. We don't want to do that. We want to be able to have good, nutritious food for our families. So it's just unfortunate because this tax system is built around commercial viability and not early stage startup and community farming. So it's very sad because this does not allow little farms to get anywhere. We're just always going to be stuck spinning our wheels if bylaws like 4710 are able to keep going. Farm status is a whole other can of whoop ass, but we'll try and figure that out, I guess, as we go. And just remember, friends, that knowledge is power. Spread the word. Don't be afraid. Speak up. Ask questions. Come from a place of curiosity instead of judgment, even though I might seem like I'm being really judgy, which I kind of am, but I'm also very curious as to why now. So remember to ask those questions, and until next time, be kind.